Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Cafe. I'm Nemo, and today we're going to be talking about comic book Mount Rushmores. If you guys enjoy the video at any point today, I'd really appreciate if you hit that like and subscribe button, but let's just hop right into this. Alright, so personally, I think the concept of a comic book Mount Rushmore is a little stupid and way overdone. I mean, people only really fight and argue about the fourth spot. The other three are usually pretty obvious, but I have gotten a few requests for them, so I'm going to do a bunch of them in one video, just get it over with, so let's get started. Alright, let's get the most obvious one out of the way first, just the basic superhero Mount Rushmore, DC, Marvel, everybody. So obviously, it goes Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and then for some reason, everybody starts having an aneurysm when they're talking about the fourth spot.
Idiots!
I think it's obvious, but I guess it's not to a lot of people. Like, I see people going on social media and they start saying Iron Man. Like, what are you talking about? No. Obviously, the fourth spot belongs to Wonder Woman. I mean, the cultural significance behind her as a character is just too big to ignore. I mean, she was like the first female hero, and she really paved the way for women in comic books. Like, what are we talking about? Iron Man? He had no relevance until 2008. Like, come on. Let's get serious. And then I feel like I don't even really have to touch on why Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man have their spots. I mean, they are the undisputed champions, the most popular heroes ever created. There's really no arguing that. And I feel like it should be that way for Wonder Woman, but it's not. And I mean, I guess she does have a lack of representation in the mainstream media. I mean, we had the two movies, one of them sucked, but she hasn't really had any games. She almost did, got canceled. She's had like a few animated movies, she's had a few TV shows way back in the day, but like, I feel like she deserves a lot more respect, and I feel like we should give her that respect. So, Iron Man, really? Come on. Alright, next up we have the DC Mount Rushmore, and I feel like this one should also be pretty obvious. You gotta have the Trinity on there. Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. They're the best. It's just iconic. There's not really another Trinity quite like them in comic books. I know some people might be like, oh, Cap, Iron Man, Thor. No, okay, shut up. It's not the same. Now, for the fourth spot, I was briefly considering Robin because of his importance to sidekicks as a whole, and he is a very popular DC character, but that's mostly because he's tied to Batman. So, for the fourth spot, I had to go with the Flash. I mean, the Flash is by far the most iconic speedster in fiction. When you think of running fast, this is the guy that comes to mind, and he is by far the next most popular DC character. He's had a long-running TV show, everybody knows who he is, and every time there's some kind of crisis event or, reboot in the DC universe, this guy is at the center of it. He's just the GOAT, all right? He's got to be on the fourth spot. I can't really even think of anyone else who would fit it quite as well. Martian Manhunter, Green Lantern. No, it's got to be the Flash. Moving on. Alright, next up we got the Marvel Mount Rushmore. Now, this one is definitely going to ruffle some feathers, get some people mad, especially you diehard MCU fans. So for my list, I got Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, and Wolverine. That's right, there's no Iron Man on here. Suck it, get him out of here. Iron Man just had no cultural relevance until 2008. I mean, sure, he's the poster boy for the MCU, but in the comics, he's not really all that. Now, Spider-Man, I feel like his spot definitely speaks for itself. It's Spider-Man, like, come on. And then if you grew up in the 2000s loving Marvel, you would know that the true Marvel Trinity isn't Cap, Iron Man, and Thor. It's Spider-Man, Hulk, and Wolverine. I mean, Hulk is probably the face of comic book strength, maybe besides Superman. Strongest there is, come on, it's the Hulk. And then Wolverine, the face of the X-Men, he's probably like the coolest anti-hero character ever. What are we talking about? Wolverine definitely deserves to be on this list. And, I mean, with how many movies he's appeared in, come on. I mean, Hugh Jackman played that guy for over 20 years. Of course he's going on the list. And then Captain America, obviously, he had huge significance back in the way early days of comic books. Like, he's the most iconic Avenger. I don't know. Besides Spider-Man, I feel like he is the true face of Marvel. So, I don't know. I know people are going to be arguing with this one, but I feel that it's Spider-Man, Cap, Hulk, Wolverine. Moving on. Alright, next up we have the Sidekicks Mount Rushmore. Now, there are so many options for this one, especially in DC. I mean, you have the Teen Titans, and you know, in the original Teen Titans lineup, almost every single character was a sidekick. You had Robin, Kid Flash, Aqualad, Speedy, Wonder Girl. There's just so many. So obviously the first one has to be Robin. Now, I don't care what Robin you put in this spot. I feel like any one of them could really fit, like Dick or Tim, whatever. Like Dick Grayson was the one that started it all. And then Tim Drake is probably the Robin that contributed the most to the mantle. So I don't care. Any one of them would fit. And then the next one, it has to go to Kid Flash. I mean, Kid Flash is probably one of the greatest examples of a character going above and beyond and becoming truly better than their mentor. I mean, Wally surpassed Barry in almost every way imaginable. He's faster, he has a deeper connection to the Speed Force. I personally just think he's a more interesting character. I know a lot of people have an attachment to Barry, you know, because of the show or, you know, whatever. Wally's my favorite Flash. Alright, the next character on this Mount Rushmore is definitely going to be Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. Now, I wasn't initially going to include him on this list because I always saw him as a Robin clone. I mean, Robin did come out first, but I always just assumed that Winter Soldier was also a Red Hood copy, but I was wrong, okay? The Winter Soldier first appeared in Captain America #1, published in November 2004, while Jason Todd appeared as the Red Hood in Batman #635, published in February 2005. So the Winter Soldier was really the first one to do the sidekick coming back from the grave to haunt the superhero, you know, kind of thing, you know, where Winter Soldier comes back as an antagonist. Like, so I gotta give him credit for that, you know. As much as I love Red Hood, it really looks like Winter Soldier did it first. And I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about Bucky. I don't really like him that much as a character. Like, I don't really read Captain America comics a lot, but I can't deny the significance that he has, so he definitely needs to be on the list. Alright, this last spot might surprise some of you, but the final character on the Sidekicks Mount Rushmore is gonna be Harley Quinn. Now, for the longest time, comic book villains have always had goons and henchmen and sidekicks and, you know, all kinds of characters like that, but none of them really stood out. They were all just kind of filler. But Batman the Animated Series introduced Harley Quinn, you know, a new henchman, sidekick, whatever you want to call her, for the Joker. And she left such an impression and was so popular that they brought her over into the comic books, and she remains to this day one of DC's most successful characters. Like, how could you not include her on this list? Now, I know that she's not really tied to the Joker anymore in most forms of media, but you can't really deny the impact that she had when she was the Joker's sidekick, partner, goon, whatever, you know. You gotta put her on there. I feel like she definitely deserves the final spot. Alright, the last category we're going to be talking about is the comic book villains Mount Rushmore. Now, I feel like this one can be argued a little bit more because there are so many villains who deserve to be on this list, and that's part of the reason why I think this trend is so stupid, because, like, how can you only pick 4? Alright, but for my list, I had to go with Joker, Lex Luthor, Magneto, and Green Goblin. Now, I know a lot of people would probably want to put Dr. Doom on there. He didn't make it, sorry. Now, for Joker and Lex Luthor, you don't really have to explain it. I feel like they've definitely earned their spots on the list. I mean, they are the main villains for Superman and Batman. They gotta be on there. Now, Magneto, he is definitely one of the most iconic villains in comic books and the most well-written, in my opinion. He is a very well-rounded, deep, and relatable character. He is the epitome of the villain that you are supposed to, like, kind of agree with, you know? You know, they always have villains where you kind of see their motivations, you can get behind why they're doing it. That's Magneto, all right? He's like the face of that type of villain. So he definitely deserves to be on there. I mean, his relationship with Professor X and just, he is such a tragic character. He deserves to be on there. Now, I was a little iffy when it came to including Green Goblin on this list, but I've come to the conclusion that he is the best possible option for this spot. I mean, he pretty much kicked off the Bronze Age when he killed off Gwen Stacy. I mean, that's not really a thing that happened very often, killing off a major character like that. So the influence that he had on comic book supervillains and just comic books as a whole, he showed that these stories can evolve and character deaths can be more permanent and you can kind of delve into darker stories. I think that that's why he deserves a spot, so yeah, sorry, no Dr. Doom. Alright guys, that's going to be about it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed at all, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button. It would really mean a lot to me. And comment down below your comic book Mount Rushmores. Let's talk about it. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.